All right, guys. I don't know if you guys have ever made it to the end of one of my videos to the point where I have my outro slides, like my pocket change market report, the Monday market report especially. I think that's the most important because it covers graded coins. But when you get to the very end, okay, you remember hearing about or seeing what I put in there about how the content is for educational use only. This video, especially, I want you guys to pay close attention. Use this as an educational piece in your development in the numismatics hobby, the industry. If you want to build this into a brand, your own business, keep this video at the back of your brain. All right, it's going to be incredibly important as you develop your skills, because the way that things are set up nowadays, it is an incredible degen, ultimate sweat kind of world that we're living in the hobby. We have these companies that have come out just in the last 2 years that sell kind of like hidden mystery packs of graded coins. Ultra Breaks, Vault Box, I would say, still the innovator out there. But there are a number of them. And there are new homegrown kind of entities, companies that are doing this in much the same fashion as those two bigger brands that we just talked about. And they're being sold on Whatnot, on eBay Live, and things like that. All right? And it's all revolving around coin grading. Coin grading has become incredibly popular over the last 20 years as people, I guess, are figuring out that it's actually worth grading some coins. And then here we are, we're getting into the ultra modern kind of world that we live in. You know, I would say anything beyond 2010, the script has flipped tremendously, where modern coins is like the ultimate, it's the ultimate gamble in the grading space. Taking a coin that customarily could be worth $1, turning it into something that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars seems like pretty easy work, you know. And you know, part of what I also talk about at the end of these videos, aside from the fact that this stuff should be just educational, grading your coins and collecting them responsibly is also important. You know why it's important? It keeps more friggin' money in your pocket. Take it from someone that knows. I have no problem sharing in with my personal experiences about how I wanted to get that next Mid-State 67 1963D Lincoln Cent. That was like the ultimate pursuit 15 years ago. You know, I even talked about it in a video, a couple of videos as a matter of fact. What I did not talk about was the amount of money that I spent over the course of 12 months in my pursuit of that quest. Spending nearly $10,000 in submission fees. It gets expensive, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get the grade that you're looking for. In this video, we're going to take a look at a couple marquee coins, all right, in the hobby that best represent the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And what I mean by lowest of the lows is if you don't hit that one particular grade to get your coin into just ridiculous price territory, there's no safety net. It's either all or nothing. It kind of sounds like gambling, right? You're going all in on pocket aces, thinking that that's the power play, and someone comes around and gets a straight on your ass. You know, there's some correlation here. And just again, over the last 2 years, we've seen more of the gambler's fallacy, the psychological aspect of the hobby, turn more toward the mystery games, the mystery packs. All right, we could thank platforms like Whatnot and eBay Live. I sell on Whatnot, okay? It's one of the coolest platforms. It helps me take my business to the next level. I do things a little bit differently. I don't do the mystery games. I don't do any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, I give away more of my coins and my money to help help build the younger base of collectors. All right, because at the end of the day, where does the hobby end up at? All right, does it end up at our current generation? You know, I'm in my late 40s right now. Will this be it after my generation? Or is this something that we can pass on to the younger generation? And that's important. The younger generation, to this point, is very alive and well in this hobby, whether it's in the bullion scene, in the coins, paper money, whatever. A lot of younger people in their 20s and 30s, you know, really participating in this. We could thank the sports card industry, comic books, and things like that. They've played a huge role in this transition into the coin grading scene for a lot of younger audiences out there. And it's those type of people that are revolutionizing how we approach this hobby. And that is in those mystery games, the mystery packs, all these kind of different ideas and companies that really build more of an interest into the hobby, but at an expense, probably a pretty big expense. And that is the gambling psychological aspect of it. You know, it's either all or nothing. You're spending $500 on this mystery blind box thing, and you open it up, you end up with a $50 coin. All right. Some people are, because everybody's doing it, everybody's participating in it. Unfortunately, a lot of people are desensitized to the wild losses that can be experienced as a result of this. We have to go all the way back to the beginning. Where does all of this kind of get rooted from? Okay, where's the grassroots level of where we're at today in 2025 in this crazy world that we live in numismatics, where, you know, now we got mystery games and all this stuff, whereas 20 years ago nobody even knew that this could be the upcoming future. It all has to do with grading, the ultimate kind of early gamblers kind of like fallacy that we all can experience, because again, it's either all or nothing. And it's most evident in modern coins. Take, for example, this one that you've been staring at on screen. This 1972 Lincoln cent is what I like to call the most valuable Lincoln memorial cent, that memorial reverse design. So it's kind of like the more modern type from 1959 all the way up to 2008. This one best represents the most valuable non-variety, non-proof, non-special strike coin. This is just a business strike coin in mid-state 67 plus red. This coin, ladies and gentlemen, made all sorts of headlines last year because it ended up selling for $21,376 with the buyer's fee, all included. It's a lot of money for a coin where they made millions of them. But after this video, I'm willing to bet that there was more than one or two people that decided all of a sudden, like, I have a coin that looks so much better than this. I don't know how this can get, you know, that kind of grade. I have one that grades just as well as that, if not better. All right. And that's one of those moments where you either get put up or shut up. You know, and you're kind of being called at your bluff at that point. What do you have to do? Well, I guess I have to send it off to PCGS, right? I have to prove to myself that I'm correct. All right, so you know that's what we have to realize, is that when we think we have something like this, and you know, I was actually one that chronicled this piece as it was being sold last year. And there were a few comments in there that said, I have a coin that looks just as better, if not better than that. The moment that you spit it out of your mouth or type it on screen, you better be able to, you know, kind of run it back and prove yourself that you do indeed have one that's just as better as this coin, you know, if not way better. And that's going to be a tall task to prove, because we have this kind of like not so deep understanding of where our our grading skills are. We always think our grading skills, even though we don't do it full time for a company like PCGS, Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, NGC, CACG, we all have to believe that there is kind of like this fine distinguished line drawn in the sand of the differentiation of where our grading abilities are and what the true grading kind of standard is with these grading companies, because they don't align. There's no overlap. There's none of that gray shaded mess added in there. So we are sending these coins off to get graded. If you think you have something like this, because it's $21,000, okay, you have to put into perspective how much you're going to end up paying to send that one singular coin off to PCGS. This might be a little dose of reality for a lot of you that think that you have it all and you want to send this in, but maybe you haven't quite researched how much it costs to send a coin of that caliber in. So we can either do it one of two ways. The best way to help showcase all of the fine print, the prices, is to just pull up the PDF version of the submission sheet through PCGS. So you're going to skip through all this stuff. By this point, you should all know this stuff. You read through it, all the terms and conditions, payments, and things like that. You get to the first part where it says additional add-ons. Okay, the one that probably is most relevant for that coin, if you think you're going to get the top pop and you know it, you're going to want to pay for TrueView imaging. All right, because it's going to be the best images that you'll ever have for the coin. And you could use those images to your advantage. And what I mean by that is you could use it as your thumbnail when you go to sell it. When you go to either consign it to a big auction house, you can tell them, hey, I have a true views of these. They'll take that, you just email it to them or whatever, or they'll take their own photos, whatever works easiest for each individual auction house. I know Great Collections, they do all of their own imaging in-house. And contrary to popular belief, I hear they have a pretty good photographer, a previous PCGS employee. You didn't hear that from me, but in any event, you're going to want to do TrueView imaging, okay? First strike, variety attribution, oversized holder doesn't quite really apply to a lot of the top pop moderns that we're looking to get graded. There's also the matter of insurance, domestic shipping and insurance chart. If you're here in the United States, this insurance rate chart isn't what you're going to pay for the coin to get shipped out. That's a completely different amount of money. You're going to have to pay for the insurance coming back, and they're going to charge you for it. So if you look at the declared value here, the declared value will ultimately be made by you. If you have that $20,000 1972S Lincoln cent, you're going to put the declared value in here, all right? Because it's going to be whatever value that you type into that line for that coin, okay? You can't put $10 and, expect to do like bulk submission tier or economy tier or modern tier to keep the rates down if you think you have a $21,000 coin, because they're not going to do you any favors. If you think you have a specific coin at a grade level that you think you might have, you're going to have to not lie to yourself and actually cough up all this money to possibly ensure that grade. Okay, and this is more of the gambling aspect of it, because even before you get the coin sent out, you're realizing firsthand what it's going to cost for the shipping rates and for the submission. All right, and if you're not a PCGS member, you're going to have to pay for that too. For a gold, I think it's like $100 or $149, because you have to be a club member in order to submit coins. So in this particular case, $15,000 to $25,000, you're going to be paying $46 to have it insured, shipped back to you. That is expensive. It's like now all of a sudden we're beginning to like add things on the calculator or subtracting them off of your pure profit. You got to guarantee that big top grade though, because if you don't get that, you're going to lose a shitload of money. You're going to see here why. There's an international shipping and insurance rate chart as well, if and only if you're outside of the United States. So that also includes Canada, I believe. So we get to the actual coin submission agreement. So you're going to fill out all this information. If you submit it online and do it that way, which, by the way, spoiler, it's actually a lot easier to do. You're going to check out all the boxes that are appropriate for you, and each one is accompanied with an extra fee. The service group, you're either going to do standard or you're going to do gold shield. On a coin that expensive, you're going to do the gold shield. That's $5 per coin. All right, and let's just assume that we're sending off that 1972S Lincoln cent. Service type, okay, grading, regrade, crossover, or reholder. You're doing just regular grading there. We're not going to worry about any of this stuff here. Reconsideration, full grade, which is the default. You can also opt for a plus grade too, because obviously to get to that top pop for the 72S, it has to be a 67 plus. So you're going to, tab that there. And here is where things get a little bit crazy. Because the service level is all dependent on what the value you place on the coin. If you're going to put $20,000 on this friggin' 1972S, you're going to end up paying this right here, I believe, Express Gold Shield with that's max coin value, $10,000. I was wrong all the time. You're actually going to pay for walkthrough. I'm afraid to break it to you. $100,000 max value on that one coin, $150 is what your grading fee is going to be. My head is like swelling with explosion right now because I could see just the money just like adding up. You got the $150, you got the $5 for the gold shield, so that's $155. You're going to do a true view, that's another $5, $160. The return shipping and insurance is $46, so now you're up over $200, $206 to be exact. Do we have any other fees? Sure. There's going to be fees in there. Handling fee of $10. There's the gold shield fee. If you opted for that, it's $5. How about getting it there to Southern California at PCGS headquarters? You're going to have to pay for that. What they recommend and how you should send these out is USPS registered mail. I just sent out a submission, a short while ago, about a month and a half ago, somewhere around there, with a $9,200 expected value or valuation of all the coins in there. There was like 23 coins. Registered mail, $9,200 declared value. I paid $55. $55 to send it to Southern California, which typically has a travel kind of like expectation of about 2 business days, somewhere around there. So if you were going to send off a $20,000 coin and you have to declare it on the form for the registered mail through the USPS, I'm afraid to say you're probably going to end up paying closer to $100 to send off that one singular coin. So tack on another $100 on top of the $206 that we have accumulated just for submitting one coin, man. You're just like, you're going all in. It's over $300, ladies and gentlemen, for that one coin. I hope you guys are happy. And now that we've had the chance to talk about it, you better damn make sure that this thing comes back a 6-7 plus. Because if you think your grading acumen and your skills is that high and tight, by God, I hope you hit it out of the park. Because you want to see what the safety net is here. If you don't hit it 6-7 plus, how about a regular 67? So we're in, this is actually the PCGS price guide right on their website. 72S in full red, which is right here, all the way across. In mid-state 67, folks, $180. which, by the way, that coin is a pop 1. I wasn't sure if you guys knew that. It's 67 plus. And that's why, see, it's not even on here. They don't even have the pricing for his 72S and 67 plus on the PCGS price guide. That's at their discretion. If it's a pop 1, they don't have to put it on there, I guess. $185 if you did not score the 67 plus. The math is kind of screwy there, right? Because you had spent and invested over $300 to send this thing out to PCGS, and it came back to 67. So close, yet so far. $185. And, oh, by the way, good friggin' luck selling it for $185 online. You're probably going to end up throwing it on eBay. And more likely, you're probably going to end up with half of that money, about $90 to $100. Because the lower valuation stuff on the PCGS price guide, they're not in sync to what real world prices are. 185, I believe, is a little bit of a pipe dream there. If you were going to try and recoup some money, unbelievable. And people want to do this. People say, I have it. Well, what do I do? Well, you're going to have to send it off to PCGS, but I'm going to warn you, it's not going to be cheap. Again, do this responsibly. Think long and hard. There are probably a good fair amount of people that juke themselves at this point, and they're like, screw that. I don't want nothing to do with that coin grading. And that's why I don't do it anymore. I don't do modern coin grading, as much as it pains me, because I want to win at it. It's like going to the casino. I just want to win when I go there. But there is a pretty distinguishing house edge through all of this. Do you think that PCGS will just willy-nilly assign a second coin in a 67 plus for that 72S? Hell no, they're not going to do that. That coin has to be, in their eyes, perfect for it to get that same grade. And if your grading isn't on par to what their grading is, remember what I said where there's no overlap there? There's always kind of like this large divide, and we're talking like Grand Canyon big divide of what our perception of grade is and what their perception of grade is. That's why they call it grading is subjective, right? We've always heard this since the dawn of time. And you have to realize that the stakes are so incredibly high that you can lose your ass on these. This is not a safe zone, right? This is not safer than, say, going to the casino and playing table games or going to the slot machines. This is not safe. This is the ultimate sweat. Here's one that sold back in 2024, just last year, December. Hasn't even been a year yet. 1975S proof Lincoln set. A coin that all intents and purposes that you could pull out of a $10 proof set. It's very affordable. But this one sold for $30,375. You know why? Because it's a very low pop proof 70. It's the perfect grade. If you guys know your Sheldon scale of coin grading, 70 is the highest grade that you can achieve in the coin grading scene. This one, not only a proof 70, but it's also got deep cameo designation. It's got the beautiful frost, and it looks like a coin that was struck on day one and then caught literally in kids' gloves as it was being ejected from the hopper, or from the striking chamber rather. This thing is ultimate perfection. But people are going to say, oh, I got that coin and it's still in the proof set and it's perfect. It hasn't even been broken out. I think I'm going to go submit it. I've had that a few times. I'm like, good luck with that. But I'm going to tell you, it's a huge gamble. That previous coin we looked at, the 72S, by the way, that sold for $21,000. This is almost $10,000 more. Do you know what that does to the pricing overall of what you're going to invest to get that coin sent out to PCGS? And there's no guarantee you're getting a 70. Probably I'd tack on another $50, which a lot of that is going to be from sending it registered mail, because that when that price keeps going up, so does the quote, the rate that you will pay to get it shipped out as well. And not to mention the return insurance and all that is also going to be quite sky high as well. Just keep in mind, the more expensive it gets, the more that you're going to pay out of pocket with no guarantees, right? Here's another one here. 53S, Jefferson Nickel. About the most plain ho-hum date that you could ever possibly imagine. All right, if you want to go buy a BU coin of that same date, it'll run you 50 cents at your local coin shop. You know what happens? People will buy that at a coin shop. They're like, oh, this coin looks like the one Blue Ridge Silverhound talked about. This one, by the way, graded a mid-state 65 with full steps. You know what makes this coin rare? Full steps. You know what one of the most extremely difficult things about this hobby is to understand? Strike designation. Whether it's full steps, full split bands, full bell lines, full head, whatever the case may be, not a lot of people are very good at trying to figure that out. Even me to this day, sometimes I get a little bit confused on a few different things, like Roosevelt dime full torches. Believe it or not, a lot of them that I look through do look like full torches with fully developed lines on the bands and all that stuff. Come to find out, they're not full bands at all, or full torch, as they designate it. So you have to be really careful here, folks. This one right here, by the way, sold back in 2019. I'm willing to bet this coin is worth a whole lot more than $20,812. But another expensive coin that will set you back hundreds of dollars if you're just submitting one. And by the way, the key to a lot of these, because they're ultra moderns, is you have to send multiples of the same coin. It's going to be expensive. 150, 150, 150, 150. Can you imagine sending off 10 of these things? $1,500 just in the grading submission fee, and not to mention the extra $5 you're tacking on for true views, the extra $5 that you're tacking on for that gold shield technology there, like you see on that one. It's crazy. Or how about this one? This one will knock your socks off. My wife had a Whatnot show last night where she sold most of her collection of high-end Mercury dimes. Now, this one not quite to the extent of what we did sell last night, but if you were at all curious, the 1919D Mercury dime with full bands is quite possibly the chaser in the entire series. It's the one singular date that is the rarest to find with full bands. You know, there are a few others out there. The 1918D is another one. The 45 Philly, 25S is a huge one. This one singular coin right here, $151,875, okay, which is approximately 5 to 6 times what any one of the previous 3 coins we talked about is in value. So not only are you going to have to pay the ridiculous, you're going to have to pay, I think, on this one, walkthrough service, which is $300 for the submission. TrueView, Gold Shield, you're going to have to pay for the return shipping. Since it's still under $200,000, you're probably going to end up paying right around maybe $150 in return shipping on this one for this one singular coin. Then again, we have to assume that you guys can tell the difference between a non-full bands coin and a full bands coin. Because if you think you're like close or it's marginal, I probably wouldn't even send it. You know, especially when you have to plug and play the valuations and stuff of how much you think it's worth, that's going to end up costing you so much money at the end, ladies and gentlemen. $151,875. Now we're truly playing with like nuclear level fire burn here, where you could end up pissing away a mortgage payment really quickly on this one singular coin alone. Crazy. And since, you know, we're kind of like doing the ring around the posy here on all of the denominations, we got to throw a quarter in here. I just so happen to find this one that sold on, you know, in November 2022. All the big hitters come during the holidays, by the way, through a lot of the auction sites. This is just a 1966. It's not even silver. This is beyond the silver standard after it transitioned to the copper. The clad coinage, the copper nickel composition. Mid-State 68 plus with some toning on there. You know, such a big, huge coin in itself. This one, the lowest out of the 5 coins we talked about at $12,937. Now, if you think you have this, and there are a couple people that firmly believe at that time when this thing was talked about, I'm pretty sure I talked about this coin in a Monday market report because we've been doing that for like 10 years now. So I think every single one of these we did bring up and did talk about in a Monday market report at some time. $12,937. Okay, you're going to be paying a little bit less here, especially on the shipping part of it. So instead of being just over $300, you probably end up being around $260 on this one. Okay, and that's all because there's an $8,000 to $10,000 difference in valuation here. But do I need to say any more? I mean, does looking at all of this data, understanding how much money you're going to have to cough up out of pocket, is this at all making you guys squeamish a little bit? Like you got the case of like you just ate a bag of prunes and you need to go take a dump so bad that it's permeating through your body at a record level that you've never felt before in your life. That's kind of what we're dealing with here in the coin grading space, and just the nuances of trying to if being able to send these out is truly the power play that you want in your life at that time. They say scared money don't make money. Okay, you have to be truly scared at this. I think there's more educational fundamentals that will save your guys' life here at the end of the day, because you know, with that kind of free, just high value information that I give every single time, I'm not even charging you guys for this information. But please do understand that I care enough about this hobby that I want to see evergreen growth for years to come, even long after I'm long gone from YouTube and from the social media scene and probably from this world. I want you guys to have fun collecting coins, collecting money, doing your thing with bullion, because, you know, it's going to get a lot better. It's going to be a lot better, but we could only control how the growth is going to happen based off of the firsthand information you guys absorb. If you don't absorb the right information, you guys are going to be screwed. You know, and everybody's going to be pointing fingers, you know, who's to blame in all this? It sure is selling Blue Ridge Silverhound, because guess what? My fine print and everything is please collect and or grade your coins responsibly. If you don't do that, that's squarely on you. Point the finger to someone else at the end of the day. But take what I have here, take it to heart, and don't be so impetuous about it. Don't go out there and rushing through the process thinking you have something. You have to take a step back and understand grading. Grading is a huge educational component to the hobby that is widely misunderstood. And a lot of you need to be on the same page with it, because if you're not on the same page, you're not on the same page with the grading company. And when that's all lost, that's where you lose money. That's where your wallet begins to get a little bit thinner. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I hope you guys got a little takeaway from this. Again, don't gamble with your coins, with grading. It's a fun prospect. You know, me personally, I grade classics, obsolete coins, type coins, things like that. I generally stay away from the moderns the best I can. Maybe I'll throw one out there every so often. But make sure you're playing with house money when you're grading, okay? Build the brand first, and then refine it into the grading space, if and only if you're ready for it. Understand it, and you'll have fun. It's not fun when you're losing. Believe me, I got to 5-digit deficit grading coins back 12 years ago because I thought I had to figure it out. Come to find out that it took a lot more refinement than what I had bargained for. So here we are many years later, and I'm better for it. I'm making money in other different facets of the hobby, the industry, than the grading part of it. The grading is more of a bonus ball than anything else. But it's a service that exists. It's very important, and it's only going to get bigger. The grading companies seem like, you know, an endless cash cow for the kings. And it can be. You know, you just have to get yourself caught up educationally, and then you'll be there. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I'm sorry to piss you guys off about this one. You guys need to know. because I care. And enjoy the hobby the best that you can. And you guys will do okay. All right. I'll see you guys later. And yeah, have a good one.